In this edition of RC Racing, we're in El Scorchio, Spain for the large-scale touring car European Championship final. Now, as this class gets its multi-camera debut on the show, it's only right we give you a quick look under the bonnet at what drives these scale racing machines. Yes, you've guessed it. It's an engine.
A 23cc two-stroke, normal unleaded with pre-mixed two-stroke. They're producing in the region of 5.5 to 6 horsepower, I'd say. Obviously, like we've said before, out here it's quite warm, so you've got to run them quite rich. You do lose a bit of power, especially in the heat. So we're probably a little bit more restricted than we would be in a cooler climate, but yeah, they're pretty good. They're only rear-wheel drive cars, so they can be a bit exciting.
This track is like a little bit strange, I think, because the straight power is of course very important, but also here, because of the high temperature, it's really hard to get the acceleration right. So what we have done, we have some special cooling system for the fuel and stuff inside the car, and this helps us to improve the heat of the engine.
Hydraulic brake system on all four corners of the car. How does that work?
It's much the same as in your road car. It's a normal hydraulic system. You've got a master cylinder worked off the servos. Like you say, calipers on all corners, disc on all corners. That's also adjustable from the transmitter. So personally, I do it with the buttons on the transmitter. I can wind my brake balance on the rear up and down.
Here it's also very, very important with the brakes, because you have a lot of stop and go corners, but also you have two fast sweepers, the end of the straight and onto the straight. And these two corners, you don't want the car to block all four tires, because then you simply lose the balance in the car.
Now, we've heard that obviously you've got a brand new tyre here for this event. Presumably the development that's gone into that is the same as in any sort of full-scale racing, where the manufacturer will look at the data they've got from the last races, look at the track conditions perhaps as well they expect to see, and then make a decision based on that.
I think so, very much. I mean, we did some testing at a Grand Prix a few weeks ago, and they brought the tyre here very similar. We made a change slightly to the profile of the tyre, rounded the corners a little just to give it a bit more, make it a bit more forgiving, to make it a little easier to drive.
Well, there's certainly lots of hot tyres on the grid and even hotter engines revving. Let's hand over to John Hindhoff and meet the contenders.
Well, there's real quality at the head of the grid, with the pole sitter being the current European champion from the Czech Republic, Martin Beyer. In second place, Bernard Alain Analdi from France is the current world champion. No less championship material in third position, with Markus Feldmanns, the German, 4 times a European champion. 2 of his countrymen behind him, Christoph Flagowski from Germany and Guido Ruster. Then Andrea Catalani from Italy. Mathieu Briev in 7th position from France. Gianmarco Martelli in 8th position from Italy. It's France again in 9th. Olivier Sampietro, and Guillaume Solon from France is in position 10. In fact, actually, the Frenchman's not on the grid as he's in the pit lane there, just beside that red flag at the bottom of the screen. Must have delayed the start procedure, but we are racing. And Beyer from the Czech Republic leads out from pole position. Bit of a battle going on behind him, and through into 5th position comes Catalani, the Italian, in the all yellow, bright yellow machine. As the battle for the lead hots up, and the Frenchman has taken out the Czech Republic driver, drops down into 4th position. Amazingly, Beyer doesn't lose the lead, but surely that is not going to go unnoticed. No, indeed. And there is Alain Analdi going into the pit lane for a stop and go penalty. Suppose he's got the rest of the race, hasn't he, to recover from that, but he is going to have to make up room. Here it is again. An ill-advised manoeuvre there, I think. Low percentage move, we would call that. Meantime then, Beyer leads out from, in second place, the very similar looking car of Feldman in second, as they sweep through the infield. Do like the way these cars move around on the circuit. You can really see the proper racing lines being traced by the drivers. Across the start-finish line, this is the battle for first and second. A bit of a gap moving back to third, with Flakowski in 3rd position in that white and blue car. Christoph Flakowski. There he goes through. Behind him is the Italian. That is Andrea Catalani, but this is the battle for the lead. And after the unceremoniously being dumped on his roof, Martin Beyer settled down and is controlling this one from his pole position start. A little bit lucky actually not to have any damage there, but no damage to the radio or the running gear. Been beautiful conditions here this weekend for spectating, but the hot temperatures means that tyre wear is going to be a bit of an issue. And everybody, oh hello there, cutting across there. Everybody worried about fuel consumption, and there's no refueling in this 30-minute race, so you do have to be a little bit careful about what you're doing, having to run the engines a little bit richer because of the warm temperatures, and that runs the risk of cough, splutter or deer at the last few moments of the race. So you can almost feel the top four pacing themselves, but getting away from, I think that's Mathieu Breve in 5th position. Apologies, no, that's Catalani in 5th position. They come through. Still the leaders then. Czech Republic leading from Germany in second. Massive amount of experience and championships behind them. Very, very smooth driving by all. And I'm going to put Catalani back up into 4th position. That was my not being able to read the timing and scoring screen. And he is closing up now on Flakowski, the German, in 3rd. And that is the battle on the circuit at the moment. Flakowski all over the curbs on the inside, trying to make that blue and white machine as wide as possible. That's the battle we're watching at the moment. And there is the number 6 of Catalani having a look down the inside. He's using the curb too, pretty flat most of the way around here. Got to be careful not to go onto the grass though. Clark of the course doesn't like that and has been laying down the law in the drivers' meetings. You can see there's clearly a racing line and marbles offline as well. That's how hot it's been. That is the torture of hot tarmac on these tyres. And there again, oh, that's really pushing it. Oh, and a side-by-side swipe there, and Catalani, the Italian, somehow holds onto it. And now he's battling against losing that 4th position. And it looks like that's Martelli from Italy in the 8th car, who's fought his way up through a couple of positions. There's the leader. And all of a sudden, he's in elegant isolation as everyone else has dropped away from him. Where has Feldman gone? He's dropped back a good 1.5 seconds or so. Nice bit of recovery by Andrea Catalani in 4th position. But that is Martin Beer, current European champion, and you can see why he refuses to be hassled. Just tracing a very smooth line indeed. These cars really do benefit from being driven smoothly, not if you're a regular viewer of RC racing being flicked around all over the place. Back to the battle for 3rd now, and in fact that is Martelli, yes, coming through from 8th position, battling for 3rd now. So swap one Italian for another has Flakowski. Oh, and up onto 2 wheels. Watching that number 8 car having dropped back a little bit. Yes, this is not the fast and frantic driving that sometimes we see on RC racing. These cars are a little bigger, a little heavier, and there is a chance for 3rd place. Side-by-side action on the infield. Magnificent stuff from all of the drivers there, both of the drivers. Ah, the touch! Oh, what a shame. Just as we were building him up, the curse of the commentator there for Martelli, and he drops back down. In fairness, it was quite sporting because he was getting very close to the back of Flakowski ahead of him and lifted off and put himself into trouble. But there is that battle again, and this time that is Catalani coming back and says, haha, I remember from earlier on when you put me off the track. I'll have you back, thank you very much, and goes into 3rd place.
We'll be back to watch the rest of the race unfold after the break. But first, if you're getting a taste for radio control, you might like to try a bit of rally action with the WR8 Flux.
now coming back from the penalty on the first lap. That car with the blue and yellow roof just sitting in there behind Flakowski in what is now 5th position. That, believe it or not, is Bernard Alain Analdi from France, who had that first lap stop and go. So this has been a very measured drive from the Frenchman. My only worry here is, has he managed his fuel? Because he has had to charge back a little bit through the field. 3rd, 4th and 5th, absolutely together. Any small mistake here will be pounced on. And in fact, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, with Martelli, the Italian, in close proximity as well. In fact, he's looking to pressure there in the number 8 car as they all go through as one. Oh, this could end in tears. Good news for Feldman in second and Bayer in the lead, who are getting away and have got a good lead on what's going on behind. But this is cracking stuff. Just diving out of the slipstream there to have a look down the inside. And there's Alain Analdi in the white fronted car with the red and blue on the side. He's getting a little bit of hassle now from the Italian, Martelli. Holds on to it. He must be cursing himself. He really wants to be challenging for 4th or even 3rd position. And that's the 2 cars ahead of him that we're looking at the moment. 3rd and 4th. Oh, and the 3rd place driver goes a little wide. And that has allowed the German through. No, he's had to give best there. Flakowski just overdoes it himself and loses positions. But all kinds of rough and tumble there. Do I notice a bit of stuttering going on? Is there a problem? Let's have another look at that pass again. So he did get through, Flakowski, but down the inside, that's a cracking repass by Catalani. And in sympathy, it looked to me as though Martelli went off the 8 car, which was sitting just behind him. Yes, he's disappeared. An awful lot of yellow cars this year. Seems to be the colour of choice. You can see them from a distance when you're on the driver's stand, but it makes the commentator's job just a little bit harder. Catalani then in 3rd place from Flakowski in 4th in the blue and white car. And then Bernard Alain Analdi from France, the current world champion, needs to show some of that skill here. This is so tight, isn't it? But again, got to make the point, we're not looking at the leaders. Markus Feldman in second, Martin Boyer from the Czech Republic, Martin Bayer from the Czech Republic leading from pole position, and they are driving away from this. This is good news for them. They're pacing themselves at the head of the field, and here's the battle. 3rd, 4th and 5th position. Just still perhaps feeling each other out, looking for where the individual drivers have slightly the advantage, or your opponent has a disadvantage, perhaps might be more right to say, because they seem so evenly matched. And you can just see even the smallest loss of concentration or the missing of an apex is costing 3 or 4 cars lengths at the moment as we zoom in on Flakowski in that number 4 car, loving these low shots, and you're really seeing the pace of these cars. And I still can't understand how these guys drive as immaculately and precisely as they do at a distance of sometimes 30 or 40 feet and more away from their cars, but they do it consistently. This is real skill being shown here in the heat of the day. Fatigue for the drivers as well as for the tyres and the cars surely must be becoming some kind of issue in this quite long race, and there is just a tiniest mistake from Flakowski, and he lets through Alain Analdi from France. So that is another position made up after that mistake on the first lap. Remember, they cost him the stop-go penalty. There is the number 2 qualifier, current world champion. The Frenchman then up into 4th position, and quickly, very quickly indeed, starts to close down on the Italian Andrea Catalani in 3rd position, further back down the field. As we're in fact looking now, I think that the leaders just coming back towards us. My apologies, they're starting to hit some lap traffic now, and there is that battle for 3rd position. Oh, look at that, that is world champion class. That is a new 3rd position driver, and Bernard Alain Analdi from France made that look super easy, clean as you like, and no way of fending or fighting that off from Andrea Catalani. So now the question is, can the Frenchman do anything about that big lead? You just look on the far side of the circuit there, you can see the 2 red and bluey purple cars disappearing away. That's first and second. They're the better part of a third of a lap up on this battle. Ooh, almost putting the car over onto its roof there. Bernard and Alain Analdi. And there is our leader. Oh, and that's not second place behind. That was Guillaume Solon, who's going to lap down. Remember, I told you that the Frenchman started from the pit lane after delaying the start. So that's the leader, but that's not second place. So Feldman's dropped back just a little bit from the pole sitter, Martin Beyer from the Czech Republic. There is our second place driver. And he's in clear air at the moment. Where is the Frenchman? Answer, there. And he's closing down. We need to keep an eye on this. It's about 6 seconds at the moment, but it's coming down, and the lap times from the current world champion, now in third place, are very impressive indeed. And there's going to be some pressure felt by the German, Markus Feldmann. How hard can the Frenchman push, given the heat, given that they're running very, very rich indeed, and given that we're getting to the end of what is quite a long race, given that there's no refuelling allowed. Maximum tank size as well stipulated in the regulations. So there is Feldmann, the German, 4 times a European champion, and there is the Frenchman, and he is closing down. There's no way that's 6 seconds now. The pressure will have to be being felt on the driver's stand there. This is a remarkable drive back from that injudicious move on the first lap, remember, by the Frenchman. He qualified in second position, had to have the stop-go penalty, dropped right to the back of the field. Now in third, challenging this man, Feldmann, for second place. And what a comeback that would be. Still got to have question marks about the fuel usage here. I think Bayer's done enough. He hasn't been under that much pressure to have used up his fuel allowance. 2-stroke, of course, premix fuel. And fantastic noise from these engines in this sunshine. I really don't know how the drivers do it. We talked about fatigue earlier on. You can't even reach away and get yourself a little sip of water, can you? Both hands on the sticks at all times. And it looks like Feldmann is pushing a little bit harder now. He's got lap traffic. That's Guillaume Solon ahead of him in the orange and white car. He needs to deal with him very quickly indeed, and has done. And now puts that car between himself and another Frenchman, but this one chasing for position in the mostly yellow car with the white front. This is the world champion, second place qualifier. Bernard Alain Analdi is through and once again has target acquired on the second place driver. You can feel the tension here. Everyone is watching. I've got a feeling that some of the drivers in the minor positions are starting to get a little bit interested in this as well. Just down below us, the guys in the pits are really taking notice there. Again, was that just a little stutter coming out of the slower corners? When these cars give up, you don't get much warning of it. Just like an electric, when they dump, they're gone, and when they're gone, they are gone. There's no refueling in this race. There's nothing you can do. A lot of the drivers very worried indeed, hence this relatively conservative pace at the start of the 30 minutes of racing. Here comes the Frenchman. Oh, you can cue the Jaws music now. You can almost hear it in the background as the white front of Bernard Alain Analdi is closing in, you feel, inexorably on second place. You've got to say, what a race we would have had at the head of the field between the Frenchman and Martin Beyer, the Czech Republic pole sitter, had he not had to fight his way through his field. This has been through the field. This has been a brilliant comeback drive. He's got to be able to turn this into good points now, though. He'll do his confidence no end of good. Guido Ruster, the next man about to go a lap down, the number 5 qualifier from Germany. So he hasn't had the best of runs. Just see the white car ahead of this battle, which is now almost joined. This has been an awesome drive back. Oh, a little twitch from the Frenchman. Just cost him, what, 2 or 3 cars lengths, and that'll take him another precious half or 3/4 of a lap to grab that back. Feldmann then driving for second place and holding on. 3rd position qualifier. Oh, and he's dumped it! There we go. I said there would be no warning coming out of the slow hairpin in the middle of the field, And quite clearly, that's not going to restart. Pointless exercise, I'm afraid, from the marshal. It's gone. And, well, well, well. We've seen a couple of guys run very close in the practice and qualifying. And literally no warning given. No fuel gauges, of course, to watch. And there's someone else, I think, in problems. That looks like it's look. Oh, that's Flakowski. Flakowski, who'd been right up there at the start of the race. He's dropping out as well. There is our leader, Martin Beer from the Czech Republic. If anyone can make it, surely he can. He hasn't had any pressure. But where is the fuel coming from? From Bernard Alain Arnaldi, because he's had to fight his way through. And he's in second place. Surely there can't be any more drama. The leader now picking his way through. There'll be one or two people biting their lips at the moment, having seen a couple or three cars already run out of fuel. The two-stroke engines just popping off, and the leader is easing down. The leader is easing down. That's not a battle for position. That is a lapped car that he's already put behind him. I think that's Mathieu Brev behind him, the Frenchman. And this is a smart move by the leader. He's allowed some of the lap cars to go back past him because he does not want to throw away top points in this first race. He's clearly pacing himself, as he will be delighted to know that he's started the last lap. That's Catalani, in fact, ahead of him. And Brev behind him. And that is very, very heads-up racing by the current European champion. Coming through to complete and win. I'm not sure he had very much more in the tank there, because that car came to a very, very quick stop. But Martin Beyer from the Czech Republic is confirmed as the winner. So confirmation then that Martin Beyer wins by, 6 seconds over Bernard Alain Arnaldi, coming back through the field in second. And then it all goes a bit mad. Andrea Catalani, a lap down in third position, just ahead of Mathieu Briere. And then it's in fifth position, Olivier Sampietro on 79 laps, 2 away from the leader. Flakowski we saw also running out of fuel on 76. But what about Markus Feldmann? Looking great for a top finish. 10 laps and 4 minutes short on fuel. That's going to have some tongues wagging for later on.
Martin, congratulations, a fantastic drive. You made it look easy.
It looked easy, but it wasn't, because after the semi we have no left fuel, so I have to save a lot of fuel during the final. So I was like, no pushing everywhere, just very easy, consistent, and it paid off. So.
Well, we certainly saw in those last few laps you were going so slowly down the back straight. Were you just willing the car to get to the finish then?
Yeah, I was just checking the gap between me and Arnaldi, and I say, why to go faster? I have a lot of gaps, so I just slow down and save the fuel, and finally came to the last lap. And
well done, European champion once again. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Well, congratulations to Martin on retaining his championship. But don't forget, you can find out more about any scale of RC radio control racing action on our website, www.rcracing.tv, anytime.